Hi everyone, this is a demo video that I'm going to give of the new version, and this is really geared for those of you who have been playing for a long time on the old version and want to understand what the differences are and how to use the new version. So just to make things a little bit easier for yourself, I've just signed into my account here. Under the new version, the first thing you'll see is that at the top there's a green bar right now. So if you do want to get back to the old version, no problem. Just click on Play.Planet.New. And I know some of you are going to take some time to transition, and that's okay. We're going to give you guys as much time as you need. But you are going to find that switching to the new version has some benefits, and it's not so hard as you think. We really worked hard to try to make it not so different and not such a hard transition. It was one of the key goals that we had as we were designing it. So outside of the game, there are a few small differences. You might find that the menu is not showing. This is to be able to hide and do it. Just click here to hide or unhide it. On a game screen, everything is more or less the same. The settings are showing here in a little drop down. But for the most part, you're going to find things are pretty similar. Information is moved around a little bit, but is relatively the same. I'm going to go into a game now and point out some of the differences there. So I'm just going to jump in to Lone Wolf 1. This would be the same as if I had just hit play on the game. So I'm going to hit view here, which is going to take me in, but it's really the same as if I had just hit play to enter a new game. So this is an older turn. When you come into a game, one of the first things you're going to notice is that you're on the map, and when you open a new turn, you're going to see your ships moving. And this is going to take you, you're going to see them move, and then you're going to see the results of that turn played. Now, you're on the map rather than the dashboard, so that's a little bit of a difference, but it's a little bit more active. So as we saw, that little ship was moving here over here, and then we see that there's an explosion, which is a VCR. So you can click on that to see the VCR that happened there. And here we can see that I've got a cat's paw fighting a little falcon. So that will clear that sticker, that explosion sticker, and we can see now the results there. Okay, some really obvious differences right off the bat. We've got on the bottom right, we've got this new control here. We call it our notification list. So it's kind of like notifications on your phone. It does work really well on the phone. It'll show you important things that are happening, stuff that you need to do, take action with. Like ships that you haven't marked yet as ready, or planets or star bases. If it's in your way, it's no problem. You can just click here to drop it down, bring it back up. This is just one tool. Otherwise, your hover information in the top right is the same as always. It's kind of up here, just looks a little different. It's got the icons instead of the text, so it's a little more colorful. Once you get used to the idea that those icons, and it doesn't take very long, I can attest to that. Once you get used to those icons, you're going to find it pretty easy to tell what's what. If you want to navigate to something, it's just like normal, but you can click and it'll open up that planet. And then you can see here that the planet screen is quite different from the existing screen, but in many ways it's the same as well. So here you can see the words to the icons to get used to them. Just for reference, the duranium, tritanium, and molybdenum are kind of like the letters D, T, M. They're similar, so just get used to that. These other ones are not as critical, but pretty easy to understand. Supplies, money, and whatnot. Now, when you want to perform actions on your screen, you don't have the buttons that are as big and bold. We had to take those out in order to fit this user experience so that it can scale down to the screen or down to mobile phone size. So it kind of can shrink down. But you just click on the different areas of the screen in order to perform actions. So if you click here, for example, anywhere in this Mines, Factories, Defense, it's going to bring up the Mines, Factories, Defense screen, or the colony building screen. I can, to use this, if I wanted to build factories here, I can just select on mines or factories, and then I use the controls on the right to like up or down to build more mines or factories. So this planet, I've already got max on, so it's not very easy. or I can't make much changes here, but you can see here if I want to build defense, how it works. And right here, this little icon or these numbers represents the build targets. So if you wanted to set your build target to 100 defense posts, you could do that here just by clicking on this little area here. If you want to sell supplies, just click on the sell supplies area in the top, and you can buy or sell supplies as you would normally. It's also possible to buy and sell supplies by clicking in this area in the screen. Note, you can always hit OK or even click on the top of this bar in order to close it. To buy or sell supplies, you can do that here by just clicking on this planet as well. You can click on the colony. This is your colonists. You can click anywhere in this section here to set your colonist tax rate. And you can click down here to set your friendly code. And you have to click in the box to actually make some changes here, or you can just hit random if you wanted to set it randomly to something else, or you can set it to one of the preset values in order to get those set. You click in the resource area to initiate a transfer. We currently don't have any ships in orbit over this one, so I'm just going to go to a planet that does. So here's a planet. So if I wanted to do a transfer, I can just click here, and it's going to initiate a transfer with the ship in orbit. And I can just select what it is that I want to transfer, and then use the left right here to move it this way, or just 10 down, and then click on duranium and add 60 duranium. So you can just play with this, and you will get the feeling of how these transfer controls work. At the bottom here on this screen, you've got buy and sell supplies as well. So I can do that if I wanted to buy and sell. And this button here is the unload all. So I can just hit that one button and it'll unload all my minerals down to the planet. And that shows up when you're transferring from a planet. Hit OK, and you can close it. Another neat thing. Again, if you want to set the native tax rate, just click anywhere in the native area in here, and you can change that native tax rate and get used to that. So that's a similar. This is the new style. It's a little different, but once you get used to it, it goes just as fast as the old version. It's very simple. Down here, we've got a new feature because we're kind of taking the attention away. In the new version, we take the attention away from the dashboard a little bit and focus it more on the map again. So here you can see the reports. So any reports tied to this particular object. So if I'm on a ship or a planet, so if I click here, I can see that there was a news flash here. They're rioting on this planet. So I can get informed of that right here from this planet. So you can see that their happiness is actually very low. So we've got a riot happening here. So that's how it works. And when you go to and then here, the idle controls and the back and next controls, these have been integrated with the screen. So click up here to change between idle and all. So if I click here, I'm just showing idle. And if I use my checkbox, I can see it here. I'm checking it. And one of the interesting things is the idle information is also displayed on the map in a circular ring. So this planet is currently idle, and then if I check it, the ring disappears because it's now not idle. And I can then just back and next between planets by using these controls. And I can switch back to showing me all of my ships and cycling through those using these controls. So it's really all the back and next buttons are just integrated with this user interface here into this screen. So just a little bit of a space saving thing. Up here we can see our temperature as normal. On a ship, things effectively work the same. Click anywhere in the warp area down here to set your warp speed. Click on the primary enemy in order to set your primary enemy. Click on the mission to set your mission. Click anywhere in the cargo area down here to load some cargo up, and you can see they just light up when you have something on board. And that's it. One sort of hidden piece of functionality, if you want to set notes or change the name of a ship, you have to click on the ship itself. And here you can change the name, set the custom colors, and notes as you have done in the past. So just click on the ship in order to change stuff, or on a planet, same thing. If you want to set notes here on this planet, you can do that. Starbase, more or less the same things. If you want to build defense or fighters, you can do that here. Sell your supplies, transfer things. Here you can see on this case, I'm transferring to a fighter ship. So there's this little icon here in order to transfer fighter building minerals. So that's just a little quick tool there. Set my primary enemy. One thing that is interesting in here, your secondary orders, fixing and recycling, are now buried under this primary orders command. So click on your order and then you could set refuel, but you can also set a secondary order in here to, for example, fix that instrumentality. So, and it's going to show that I'm fixing ship 103. We don't have a lot of screen space here, so we're using this. We always show the secondary order, which doesn't happen very frequently. And then you've got refuel here is currently selected up here, so I can see that, and next turn it would be back to that. So I can still see this is highlighted, and then I'm fixing ship 104. The build ship screen has received a complete update. So it looks really different, but it has all the same functionality. If you want to build a ship, click in here, build ship, and then you just select the hull, choose what you want to build, select engines, choose what you want to build there. If you wanted to build a part, you can use this little button here to build the parts, but you need to have the tech level. So if I wanted to, for example, build startup ones here now, I can just build these, and I'm just building parts, startup one parts. I can select beam weapons, same thing, and then my fighter base, once I hit OK. If everything is green here, meaning I have enough resources, I could just hit build right here in order to build that ship. It's quite intuitive. It's definitely been, this has been user tested with completely beginner users. So it's actually designed in a way to make it so that beginner users can do it very quickly. But you'll also find that as an expert user, for queuing a ship, it's super fast. It's very easy, very few clicks in order to get these things, get a new ship queued up. So it's good. We are listening to feedback. We've already had some feedback, for example, that these are a little small, and we're looking at ways to improve things. When we have a larger screen, for example, like now, and we'll be able to use a bit more screen space. So we're still working on making it more flexible, but we want to make sure that it works from big screens to small screens. Some of you are going to be asking the question, why are we worried about taking our game to the small screen? Well, we'd like to share a statistic with you that currently, on the Planet's new website, 9 out of 10 signups are signing up from a mobile device. So this is a really key thing. And while we typically, as players that have been playing historically, have not been playing on our phones, playing on the phone is the future of Planet. So we have to accommodate that. We need to make sure that happens, and that's how we're going to grow the community. So this is the build ship screen. Some other stuff that is interesting, that is very interesting actually. For example, I can open an enemy planet. Now, if I'm on an enemy planet, I can click it, and that will we call it a scan lock. Scan lock in whatever it is that we've selected. This is kind of like when we click now on enemy ships, and it gives us the ship list on the left. It locks in over here, and then I can click on one of these things. And interestingly enough, I can actually load that planet directly into the planet screen. So even though this is an enemy planet, and I can see that in this case Savit owns this, then this is an enemy planet, and I can load it. And this is quite helpful in ally games. You're going to be able to load your allies planets and see things about them, and even perform some actions on there that won't take effect, but might allow you to calculate something or provide a little more information to you. So any enemy ship, planet, or starbase can be loaded into the screen here. We also have this little threat analysis. It helps new players to know how dangerous is this enemy ship, and should we be worried about it or not. Again, tools for beginners. So other things, the map tools have been moved into this little box here. You can click here to get your, for example, your show me where my Duranium is. Metronomy, etc. Audio tools are here if you want to turn on your sound effects or your music. You can turn off or on the assistant. Hyperjump tools, measure tools, all the usual stuff is in here. So things that you're used to having. We did sort of take out a couple of things and make them defaults in the new version. For example, Minefield Preview is just always on. We didn't decide that needs to be on. Range circles are on. We're not having those as map tools. So a few small changes there. We just made some decisions to go forward there. In the dashboard, things are relatively the same. The battle simulators had a bit of an upgrade in order to fit on a small screen. So that's a little different, but you're going to find it pretty easy to use. I'm not even going to go through it. Otherwise, things are relatively the same up here. Some of them scroll or scan, and on smaller screens, certain things might disappear, but on larger screens, you're not going to notice that. So this is the primary changes. So just get used to, we do hope that you'll get in there and try playing with it, try playing some turns. Once you play 3, 4, 5 turns in this new version, it's definitely a little bit in the beginning. Your eyes, you're used to looking in the same spot for the same information, and so there is a little bit of like cognitive dissonance that happens there, where you're struggling. It doesn't take very long to remap that information, and soon you're starting to look. And in fact, now when I've been playing my turns in this new version for quite a while, when I go back to the old version, I'm finding that just as disturbing. So there is a transition. We know it, but we do hope that you guys will make the steps forward. And we know that we want to thank the user script developers who've been making add-ons that you guys love to play with. They're doing some updates to make them work in the new version. Really appreciate all that work. I know some of you guys really like those tools, and we're going to continue to try to incorporate more of those things as we go forward. So we are adding new features now in this new version. This is definitely the focus. We're trying to keep making things better. And there are a few more, probably little bits and pieces that I've missed in this demo, but the main thing is to click in these areas in order to perform functions, and that these are your new tools. So just get used to it, give it a try, and we hope you really enjoy it. And we've been happy to build it for you guys, and looking forward to the next years of Planets under this new version, which is going to be giving us the opportunity to expand more into mobile and have a single code base. So otherwise, it's not so different, and you'll be able to make it. Thanks a lot for listening, and enjoy.